Welcome back to Entertainment Talk. Today I'm here to talk about the futures or potential futures of Amber Heard and Ezra Miller in the DCEU, of course, in Aquaman, the Jason Momoa solo superhero film. Amber Heard did play as Mira in the first of those films. Aquaman 2 currently, I believe, is due out in December 2022. If that still happens, then that still happens, but given what's currently going on, it could be delayed, it could be, maybe it could come out sooner, who knows, but that's the current situation with that. Ezra Miller's The Flash, which was supposed to come out 2 years ago, 2018 or so. He obviously plays as the DCEU's version of The Flash, Barry Allen, if you will. He did appear, of course, in a cameo in Batman v Superman, and then there was, of course, the Joss Whedon 2017 Justice League film, and we're gonna probably see him again in the Snyder Cut next year anyway, because it's all been filmed and it just needs to be edited and put together. So that's the current situation around these two characters. In terms of the actor and actress in question here, Amber Heard and Ezra Miller, I want to talk about today the current events that they're both involved in, whether they should or shouldn't be allowed to do the next films. So like I said, Aquaman 2, which would have Mira played by Amber Heard if she keeps her role, and 2023, whenever that film is supposed to come out, the solo Ezra Miller Flash film, because of course there's not going to be a Justice League 2 anytime soon. And if Ezra Miller is thrown out of the role or fired from the role of the 2022 or 2023 Flash film, we will probably see him again in the 2020 Snyder Cut for HBO Max. So let's go to Ezra Miller first. No particular reason, I'm just picking him first. Both of these two people appear to have done something wrong, let's say. They've both done different things, and I'm here to talk about what should the decision ultimately be, which it isn't up to me to decide. It's up to Warner Brothers and the courts and other things, I suppose, as well. So I believe it was earlier this year, or potentially a bit earlier than that. There was a video that came out, I think it was in some sort of store in America or something like that, and Ezra Miller appeared to choke a particular woman. There was some arguing beforehand, and then he put his hands literally on her neck, and then not only appeared to be choking her, but he did actually push her down to the ground. I think quite a lot of people saw this video because, you know, when there's a video on the internet of a celebrity choking another person, that spreads pretty quickly. So yeah, most people probably saw that. If you didn't, maybe it's still out there. I don't know. It's not necessarily something that you need to watch per se, but if you want to see what happened, I suppose, and judge for yourself whether or not he did something wrong, I do think that he did. The other question towards that, of course, is do we have all of the context? Because that actual clip itself was about 10 or 12 seconds. There may have been something that happened afterwards. There was probably something that happened, there was probably something that happened before and after, clearly, because there's the question about, okay, what led up to this argument? Why did he choke this woman? Were they joking around? That was one of the biggest questions that came out of this. Okay, was this some sort of prank? Was this a joke? Did they do this as like a bit of fun or some sort of something like that, maybe? I don't think so. I can only judge based on the video that myself and everybody else saw. I don't know if there was any other footage around that was posted. I'm sure that would have been spread around pretty quickly as well, and I would have probably seen that. But that's the footage that we have, is the 10 or 12 seconds of him arguing with this woman. I think he said something along the line, of like, you want to fight me or something, and then he puts his hands on her neck, chokes her, and then slams her to the ground. I think someone afterwards pulled Ezra away, and then I think he got obviously kicked out of wherever that was. So should he be fired for this? If this is what it appears to be, like I said, there might be some context missing, but you know, if you are, well, you don't have to be a celebrity. If you are any person that's choking someone in public, you should probably be punished for that. And in Ezra Miller's case, firing him from The Flash, recasting him from the 2022 upcoming Flash solo film, if that film ever actually happens and comes out, because we still have questions about that. But yeah, because obviously that film was supposed to come out 2 years ago, and it's still actually in development. So we'll see if that film actually gets made at all. Whether or not Ezra's going to be in it they're two different questions. But of course, there is a possibility that Ezra gets fired, someone else gets put into the role, they start filming again when they can, or continue filming. The thing is with that, I suppose, I don't know how much filming was actually done on that 2022, or I'll just say the Flash solo film. You'd have to erase all of Ezra Miller's footage, because you can't have a film where a quarter of it, or half of it, or a third of it, or however much has been filmed with Ezra. You can't have a film where he's in some of it, and then halfway through the film, the Flash changes to a different person. Yeah, so you'd have to pretty much scrap what you've got and start again. Maybe you could keep the script, whatever state that's in, and then you'd have to recast it and all that sort of thing. What I'm going to do with this podcast, I'm going to talk about the particular issues with the two of them. I also want to bring Hartley Sawyer into this conversation, not on the podcast, just bring him into the equation, I suppose, not on the podcast. Bring him into the equation here, into the conversation, and kind of compare a few things, because he was fired from the CW's version of The Flash. He didn't play The Flash, he plays the elongated man. So I want to bring that into the conversation as well. But what I want to do in the second half is switch to the more fun version of this, where I talk about recasting, because obviously, you know, we do have some serious allegations here with both Amber Heard and with Ezra Miller. So I want to talk about those first, get the serious stuff done up front, and then talk about the fun potential, you know, if these two do get fired, or one of them gets fired, one of them keeps their job, whatever the situation is going to be. Do some stuff in the second half, because, you know, I do like to give my opinions on superhero and DC related stuff, and that would be part of that. It would be part of the whole podcast package that you've got here, I suppose. So should Ezra Miller be fired? In my eyes, if this is simply the case, something happened to him and he decided to choke this woman for whatever particular reason, and he did hurt her and slam her to the ground or whatever, yes, he should be fired. So let me actually do the comparison with Hartley Sawyer. Hartley Sawyer was recently fired from the CW's version of The Flash. Like I said, he doesn't play The Flash, he plays the elongated man. Somewhat of a side character in the show. His role has been upped a little bit within the last season or two. He's been in the show for a couple of seasons. He's a good character, but like I said in, I think, our season finale podcast for The Flash for the sixth season that's just gone, he's a character you could quite easily just write out and either replace the character, or it wouldn't be a huge loss if you just got rid of that character, basically. But so essentially, Hartley Sawyer, who does play the elongated man in The Flash, he did some tweets quite a long time ago, a few years ago, while this wasn't background checked. Is a different question as well. You know, you should check the stars' social media to see what they've been tweeting about and whatever, and then decide whether or not you're going to hire them for the role. But these tweets were found. They weren't very nice. He probably intended some of them as jokes. I didn't see them as jokes. I saw them as very bad tweets. And he was very publicly fired. Pretty much the same week, at least in the UK, that I think it was the day before our podcast, actually. Either the day of the podcast or the day before the podcast. He was very publicly fired. It was being reported everywhere. Me and David talked about it on Geektown a little bit as well, on that particular episode. It was very, very public, and it was just click of a finger, he's done, he's out, and he won't be back next season. So so you've got a situation where I will bring up Amber Heard in a little bit, but let me just deal with Hartley Sawyer and Ezra Miller first. So Hartley Sawyer tweets from, I think it was 2013 or 14 or so still tweets from a few years ago. Does that mean it's any better? No, he still said the things that he said. Is he a different person now than what he was before? Possibly, but he still said the things that he said. Should he have been social media checked anyway and potentially not even hired? Probably, yeah. That would probably be a good idea if you had, I don't know, even an intern or someone like that, or just anybody on your team who works for Warner Brothers. Go and check this guy's social media before you hire him. If you see these tweets and you're not happy with them, then just don't hire him for the role in the first place. So the whole situation could have been avoided. Maybe somebody else would have ended up playing the elongated man, and that's that. So one question that we have here, of course, is, okay, why has Hartley Sawyer been fired very publicly, very quickly? They checked his social media at some point and then very publicly fired him. It was reported all over the place on every outlet that you can think of, and he's done. Ezra Miller, this event with him attacking this woman, happened several months ago, and not only is Warner Brothers, well, they haven't said anything about it at all. They have not said, okay, they've not said whether we do or do not stand with Ezra Miller, or whether he's going to keep the role, or when filming with him will resume or anything. They've just not said anything at all about it. And you have to question, okay, why is that? Are they investigating something with Ezra Miller that they can't talk about? Is there some legal thing going on maybe? There might be reasons why Warner Brothers hasn't talked about it yet. Maybe there is some sort of legal thing going on that you can't make public, but it's just a little bit strange where Hartley Sawyer, bang, done, out of next season. Of course, his footage still exists from the current season because his story was done and told, but for the next season of The Flash, nope, he's out, he's gone. Again, I think that was a good decision, but on the Ezra Miller side of things, why have you not said anything? It's been several months. It's going to be very interesting to see, because obviously when The Flash returns to filming, I think in September, potentially, we'll see how that works. When The Flash returns for filming in September, I'm assuming the season's being written and worked on remotely at the moment. Elongated Man will just be written out the story in some way, shape or form. Whenever the solo Flash DCEU film resumes filming, are you gonna start seeing Ezra Miller on set, or like what's the situation going to be? There's going to be questions asked about it, and then I don't know, are people going to start boycotting the film and not wanting to see it? There's a question as to, okay, is it going to be good enough anyway? But aside from that, is he going to just return to filming and then that's that, or is there some behind the scenes legal stuff going on that we don't know about? I'd probably go with the legal reasons. Maybe there's some sort, maybe they're, I don't know, they're talking to his lawyers or potentially that sort of thing, but I don't know, it's a little bit strange. So that's the situation with those two. The other situation we've got is, of course, with Amber Heard, and the court stuff, the stuff with the courts, the court hearings and all that sort of stuff is actually happening at the moment. There's a back and forth between, okay, did Amber Heard abuse Johnny Depp? Was it the other way around? Did they maybe abuse each other? Obviously, an abusive relationship one way or the other. Who do I believe? I mean, from what I've heard about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp seems like the far nicer person. I pretty much stand with, I think, Amber Heard likely abused Johnny Depp. See, here's the weird thing with this case for me. We've seen evidence. I'm just going to look at this from an evidence standpoint. I'm not going to get too lawyery sort of here or whatever. Hartley Sawyer, we all saw the tweets and we saw how bad they were, and I'm not going to obviously repeat. I've actually forgotten what the tweets said because, whatever. But we've seen clear evidence of that, and he was fired. Ezra Miller, we saw the 12 or 10 second video that was publicly being made available. There have apparently been these voice recordings in interviews and things like that, I think from both Amber and from Johnny, regarding this whole situation, which I think has been going on for like a couple of years. This does go all the way back to some trouble that they had with getting him back for the Pirates of the Caribbean films, and there was the whole thing about the Fantastic Beasts. I think it was the second one. I'm not sure. I think there's two of those out. With a third one on the way, I think. There's a whole thing about like, okay, should he be fired? Should his character be written out? I don't know how that would work. I don't know who he actually plays in that film. So regardless of that, I don't know the situation with that. I haven't seen the Fantastic Beasts film. I don't know which character he even plays. I don't know anything about them. I know about Harry Potter, of course, but I've not seen any of the Fantastic Beasts films, so I don't know how much it would affect, like, I don't know, the story or whatever, whether you just recast Johnny Depp. But yeah, this whole situation has been holding all that back in terms of, okay, is he going to return for the, I think, upcoming third film? They're looking to potentially reboot Pirates of the Caribbean with, I think Margot Robbie was talked about for the role, and what's her name? The character from Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm forgetting her name for some reason. It will come to me in a minute, but yeah, one of the other actors from Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm forgetting her name for some reason at the moment. She was in the new Jumanji reboot as well. Karen Gillan, I think was her name. Yeah, she was in Doctor Who as well and some other things. For some reason her name just escaped me there. But Karen Gillan, she's also been looked at for that role. So should, the ultimate question here, should Amber Heard be fired from Aquaman 2? I don't think it started filming yet or whatever, but should she just be written out and recast? I mean, you have to look at this from an evidence standpoint. If she is found guilty of abusing Johnny Depp, which they're doing the whole court stuff at the moment, so we'll see from that. If she's found guilty, yeah, she should be written out of those films, or not the character, they can just recast her. Mira's a pretty big character for Aquaman, so I don't think you can simply write that character out. You would just recast her. You know, the film's still 2.5 years away, so you've still got plenty of time to do that. But if she's found guilty, then yes, she should be written out. If it's found that Johnny Depp did the abuse instead, then, well, he's already seemingly going to maybe lose his Fantastic Beasts film, and they're already looking to reboot Pirates of the Caribbean, so he's kind of losing those roles anyway. But my hope is that, you know, if Johnny's not found guilty and Amber is, that Amber is fired from her role and Johnny Depp is at least in the new Pirates of the Caribbean film. Whether you're including Karen Gillan or Margot Robbie, you could include both of them, I suppose, I guess, as you know, female pirates or whatever. But yeah, if Johnny's not found guilty, then you put him back in the whatever reboot Disney's going to do, or continuation for that. You put him back in Fantastic Beasts 3, I think, and that should be the situation. So it's that's the simplest way I can kind of put all this. You know, if someone's found guilty of something, which it seems like they have been with Ezra, and certainly with Hartley, because Hartley was fired, Ezra hasn't been fired. It's as simply the situation. So yeah. We'll just have to. It's going to be, you know, up to the justice system, I suppose. Does that always come out with the right verdict? No, definitely not. But it's going to be down to them to decide. As many petitions as we can do, or whatever, or, you know, because there's obviously petitions out there to get Amber Heard removed. There's also probably petitions out there to get Johnny Depp reinstated in the Fantastic Beasts and the other film, Pirates of the Caribbean. You know, as many of those that can go around or whatever, it's going to be down to the courts to decide. This could go on for quite a while, these court hearings and stuff, but it did, there was a lot of talk about, like, okay, Amber Heard abused Johnny Depp and all this sort of stuff, and then it went quiet for like quite a long time, and then the court hearings have started happening at the moment, so we'll just have to wait and see kind of what comes out from that. But, you know, It is what it is from the situation. I do hope that if Johnny Depp, because seemingly it's more on the side that Johnny didn't do the abuse and Amber did. If that's the truth, then, you know, I hope that Johnny gets his work back, because I liked him as Jack Sparrow, and I can't say that I liked him as in Fantastic Beasts because I haven't even seen it. So, yeah, it's the situation that it is. So we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, that's pretty much all of the legal sort of stuff for me to talk about here. That's pretty much all my thoughts and feelings and kind of opinions on it. I'll maybe talk about this again when things are more decided in terms of, you know, Ezra and Amber Heard, because Hartley's future on The Flash has already been decided, so we shall see. But let's go into the second half of the podcast where we can talk about recasting a little bit, so I'll see you for that in a minute.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Donnie, and I host the Adulting with Donnie podcast. And this is not the show to listen to if you're trying to be a better adult. I started this podcast as a way to offload some thoughts that I have throughout the week. My topics vary widely every week. Movies I've seen, guns and gun control, sex, people that are stupid, why I don't care about celebrity opinions, TV shows, snowmobiling. The list goes on and on. I'm always taking topic suggestions from fans of the show too. So join me each week on Adulting with Donnie as I pour some bourbon and allow you to see the inner workings of the mind of a madman. Live free and rant hard.
I'm Christy.
And I'm Jackie.
And we are Killer Fun. We explore the intersection of crime and entertainment every other week.
For as long as people have been communicating, they have been talking about who did what to whom, and is that socially acceptable?
Because the boundaries of society,
crime,
and entertainment have always gone hand in hand.
The more salacious,
or weird,
the better. From books and movies
to television shows and games,
we look at how life and art imitate and inform one another.
And we can't get together and not laugh. So let's face it, there's going to be laughing.
Killer Fun is available anywhere you listen to podcasts, so join us.
Today's sponsor is Kualu. If you'd like to get started with a domain name and a website today, just click on the link in the show notes and that will take you over to Koalu to get started. They also have a live support chat system that you can use, which is in the bottom right hand corner. So get started with a new website and domain name today with Koalu. Hey everybody, if you would like to get the ad-free versions of all of our podcasts and support Entertainment Talk along the way, all you need to do is head over to patreon.com/entertainment talk. Sign up either as a creator or as a Patreon. There's no difference there. That's just the option for either becoming a creator now or just staying as a patron for the moment. And then all you need to do is support us at the $1 level tier. That will get you access to all of the ad-free podcasts that we've done in the past, and get you access to all the ad-free podcasts in that month as well. So it's a great way to support us on Entertainment Talk and to get rid of the ads and get your ad-free podcasts. You can also become a patron at the $3 level tier. That gets you access to ad-free podcasts and allows you to redeem a review of a TV show or a film of entirely your choice. That's one per month for either a TV show or a film review, which is at the $3 level tier. As always, thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. Okay, not going to do housekeeping for this podcast, but we are doing gaming talk at the moment. We are doing classic reviews for the Jim Carrey season, so you can have a look out for all of those. We're going to be doing another gaming talk today, and also a trailer talk podcast later today as well to talk about the Comic-Con trailers. There have been Manchester United matches. We beat Leicester 2-0 and have qualified for the Champions League for next season, so that's really, really good stuff. But yeah, I want to get to this recasting part of the equation. So when it comes to Amber Heard, if she is fired from the role of Mira in Aquaman 2 for 2022 or whenever that's going to be, a lot of people have clearly pointed out Emilia Clarke. She'd be good at that role. I think that she'd be quite good. I think it'd be good for her to have another really big role. Of course, she just finished last year as Khaleesi for or Daenerys Targaryen for Game of Thrones for the final season. So that's all said and done. But, you know, Mira would be a big role for her as well. I think she'd suit it. And the other good thing as well, not that this matters entirely, but it certainly helps. She's worked with Jason Momoa before. Of course, Jason Momoa is the current Aquaman. I'm not the biggest fan of the character of Aquaman, but I certainly like Jason Momoa. I mean, why would you not like Jason Momoa? I certainly think he's a great choice for Aquaman, and that's one of the reasons I'm looking forward to Aquaman 2. Is it one of my most anticipated films? Not really. If you have known what I thought of, you know, the film of Aquaman before, my problem was never with Jason Momoa as well as Aquaman. I thought he was always quite good, but yeah, just the film itself, I'm not the biggest fan of, just because that character as well just isn't all that appealing to me. But you know, Jason Momoa as Aquaman himself does a very, very good job. But moving over to Mira, of course, Emilia Clarke, I do think that she's a very good choice. She has worked with Jason before on Game of Thrones in the first couple of seasons. And I think she's kind of a logical choice to take over. I don't think she's got any particularly big roles kind of on her plate at the moment. It's been about, you know, just over a year or so since Game of Thrones finished. So maybe she's ready for another big role. We'll have to wait and see. So that's the one person who could potentially play her. I can't think of too many others off the top of my head, but I am with the fans who've said that she'd be a good kind of replacement. The Flash for the DCEU, because in terms of Hartley as the elongated man, you don't even really need to. You can just kind of, I don't know, get rid of that character. Like you can, it's not as big. I mean, for the DCEU as the Flash, yes, you have to recast the Flash because you can't write the Flash out of his own solo film. So you've got to pretty much have him, you know, in the leading role. So if Ezra does get fired or whatnot, then you're gonna have to recast him. And pretty much the same with Amber Heard as Mira, unless you find some sort of strange way of not including Mira in the second film, which I don't think you're gonna do. You're probably gonna have her in there regardless. But yeah, I think Emilia Clarke would be a good replacement. In terms of the Flash, I mean, Grant Gustin does a really, really great job. I was always just a fan of, you know, yes, they do want to keep the Arrowverse and the DCEU separate, but they've sort of gone against that a little bit recently. I'm not going to spoil what that kind of means, but they've had a little cameo or two here and there, and I thought that was an interesting idea. They've kind of set it up in this way that like it's kind of all not connected, but they're just on different Earths, which they kind of were anyway, because we always knew that like okay, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman was on one Earth, and then all the Arrowverse cast and characters and that are on a different Earth. I mean, they're separate anyway, but yeah, there was a tiny bit of crossover recently. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but we've already seen that happen before. I was always of the opinion that like, okay, maybe you can't do it to where Grant Gustin films 22 or 23 episodes of The Flash every year, and then you have him appear in a solo DCEU film, and then in Justice League or whatever, or whatever The Flash is going to be in the future. So that's potentially true, but I was always a fan of like, okay, just have him play the DCEU's version of The Flash. I think he's a much better version of The Flash anyway. I'm not saying that because Grant started first. It's got nothing to really do with it. I genuinely don't like Ezra Miller's version of The Flash, and I'd be not just because of the allegations and what we've seen from him choking that woman and whatever, but I both don't really want Ezra Miller in the role for that reason, and because I don't think he's a great version of the Flash. So there's two good reasons, I suppose, to kind of kick him out the role. But yeah, it's also just the case of like, what I mean, Warner Brothers knows that this situation is happening. They surely do. Like about obviously the court hearings with Amber Heard and the choking video with Ezra Miller and all that sort of thing. If they want to, because they're looking to get the DCEU back on track, kind of, they've got this, the Robert Pattinson Batman film, which isn't actually part of the DCEU apparently at the moment or whatever. We'll have to wait and see fully how that kind of comes together. The DCU's had a bit of a better track recently with things like, well, Aquaman, the first one, being a $1 billion film, and then Shazam doing really well. Birds of Prey not doing so well so much. I really enjoyed Birds of Prey, but I think in terms of two of their other relatively bigger characters, especially with The Flash, don't they kind of just want a bit of a fresh start? Just kind of break away from Ezra Miller and, break away from Amber Heard. Just recast those roles, and then you can kind of, go from there. So, in terms of other recasting, I'm not really sure. I've never really thought too much about, okay, who else would be really good as a Flash? It's a very particular role, isn't it? You don't want somebody, I'm not saying you can't do this, but like someone who's too sort of built necessarily. You could do it, but like, I mean, when you look at Ezra Miller and you do look at Grant Gustin, the two kind of slimmer guys or whatever that kind of look more of the role. Am I saying that somebody muscly can't play the Flash? No, they could. There could be workarounds that you could do and things like that. But the Flash has always been known to be this. I mean, he's this slim kind of guy that runs around. He's not necessarily had the muscles and that sort of thing. But you could have someone with muscles play the Flash. I'm not trying to say that you can't do that. But it's a very, aside from like the build of the character, it's a very particular role, isn't it? It's not, I mean, when you look at characters like Superman, Batman, and like Arrow, you can have a lot of actors in those sorts of roles. I think that suits a lot, those kinds of roles suit a lot of different actors, whereas the Flash, I don't think that does. So we'll just have to wait and see on this whole situation. I think I've kind of talked enough today anyway. So I just wanted to kind of talk about, what's kind of going on with the two of these people, or the three of them, obviously with Amber, Ezra, and with Hartley as well, and what sort of should happen. Of course, Hartley's future has already been decided very quickly and very publicly, but no news yet on Ezra or Amber Heard, so we'll have to see how these court hearings go, or whatever happens with Ezra with the Flash. So have to wait and see. So with all this big DC stuff happening, what's your thoughts, feelings, opinions, and all that sort of stuff? Let me know. Matthew at entertainmenttalk.org, Twitter eTalkUK. There's a contact page and information in your show notes as well. So it's just a wait and see kind of game at the moment. Both films are still at least 2 or so years away. And of course, like I said, with the next season of The Flash, which is potentially going to be in January, Probably, my guess would be that they would just write out Elongated Man and then just continue with the rest of the characters. I don't think it's particularly too much of a big deal. But with the other two films, with Aquaman 2, with Amber Heard potentially returning as Mira, and with Ezra Miller as potentially returning as Grant Gustin the Flash, not Grant Gustin, Barry Allen the Flash, it's going to be a long time yet before we kind of know what happens, unless these court hearings with Amber Heard kind of end soon, which sometimes they can go on for a while. We just have to wait and see. So let me know what you think of the whole situation. We'll have to wait and see. But that's pretty much everything. I was going to do a podcast on this before on just the Amber Heard situation, but I thought I'd add bits and pieces to the pile, a bit more, a bit of recasting talk, and then include Hartley and Ezra and Amber and all the situation that's happening there. So thank you all very much for listening. You can find everything that we've got on entertainmenttalk.org. If you'd like to support the podcast and support Entertainment Talk, we are on Patreon. You can have a look at the $1 and $3 level tiers. That's for instant podcast, ad-free podcast, and review options as well. Amazon affiliate link, if you're shopping on Amazon, we can get a small cut of what you spend if it won't cost you extra. iTunes feeds, please rate, review, subscribe to those. And you've also got Geektown, which is on iTunes as well. That's David's news website and podcast, of course. Geektown.co.uk. Geektown Radios is on Tuesday, so there'll be a new episode today, in fact. So look out for that later as well on geektown.co.uk and on podcast platforms. Bex is streaming daily at the moment on Twitch, doing lots of cool stuff over there, gaming and geeky chatter, and some work with Jason Bradbury as well, so that's pretty cool. You can follow her on Twitch, Trista Bytes, Bytes, that's Trista, and then Bytes, Bytes. Go and follow her, subscribe to her, support her, all that cool stuff. Barry, he's actually away at the moment, so there won't be a horror podcast, I think, until next week, but there is 2 episodes available of his horror podcast. It's called Talk and Stalk on YouTube. There is 2 episodes. The first one is in 2 parts, and then there's a second episode as well, so have a look out for those, and then look out for his next episode on those. Just subscribe to him on YouTube, and that will be great as well. You can also use word of mouth. Just tell people that you know about the website and the iTunes feeds and everybody else's work. Social media, you can share them on Facebook and Twitter, and if you can, in different Facebook groups. Twitch, I'm also streaming on there, currently Ghost of Tsushima, and then once I finish with that, I'm going to return to my New Game Plus with Last of Us Part 2, so look out for that as well. Let's Play Sundays is on a bit of a hiatus. It will return soon whenever I decide, but there is 50 episodes available for Let's Play Sundays, so you can have a look out for those as well. Thank you all very much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.